Hello everyone, it's Kathy Champion and I am your independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Gastonia, North Carolina, and I want to welcome everybody into my channel. If you do not have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you're interested in purchasing any of the products that I'm showcasing in any of my videos, you can either contact me via my phone, email, or you can just directly go to my website and place your order. However and whatever it works for you, but I just want to let you know that I'm here for you. If you purchase something and you have questions, I am here to take care of you, to help you along with whatever you need. So with that being said, I also want to let you know that we have a new host code for December. This will be posted under the video as well as my blog. Once I can get that blog up and running, I've been having a lot of problems with it going down and I've not been real happy, but I'm hoping to get that resolved today if I can get somebody on the phone. You know how that can be. But anyway, what I wanted to do today is kind of showcase this Dove of Hope, and I'm in need of I know this is more of a Christmas stamp set, and this one is in our mini catalog, our holiday mini catalog, that is good through January 3rd, I believe. If you are interested in anything in that catalog, I would suggest to get your order in by the end of December to be sure that you get the product that you want. There are some beautiful stamp sets in there and dies, and I've used quite a few of them recently in the Christmas cards and things. But I just wanted to show you that even though this is a Christmas stamp with the ornament, the snowflake, the peace, joy, love, which you could use anytime, peace on earth, I always think of Christmas, and of course this sentiment has Christmas in it. But you can use this stamp set and this die set separately and not so much just for Christmas. And I'm going to show you that because I'm going to make a get well card. That's why I also have Healing Hugs. This stamp set is in our annual catalog, and I'll have everything linked below so that it'll make it really easy. I'm going to move everything to the side right now, and then I'm going to show you the products we're going to use. And for the time being, I'm just going to leave this right here so you can see it if you want to jot it down. And like I said, if you don't, you can also be able to copy it and paste it underneath this video. Some of the other things that I'm going to use, I'm definitely going to be using this stamp set, and it's called the Detailed Dove Dies, and like I said, it coordinates beautifully with the Dove of Hope, but you can also use this as a standalone, which I think is great. I love die sets that can be independent from the stamp set. So I'm going to show you some ideas on that. I'm going to move this over to the side. The other die set that I'm going to use is Hippo Friends. And you might wonder, why that? Look at these beautiful label dies that comes in here. And if, you can see that I pulled one off, the middle one from this. But look at all of these layering dies that you have in this Hippo Friends. And I think the stamp set that coordinates with this is called Happy Happy Hippo. So I bought this for these label dies because I'm a sucker for a pretty label. So let me show you, I'm also pulled out my hammered metal 3D embossing folder, and we're going to do some embossing with that. I'm going to move my Stampin Seal, Stampin Seal Plus, I'm going to move over to the side. I'm also using this Pacific Point ink, and I also, to coordinate, let me show you my card base. I have a card base that is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. This gives you your standard A2 size card, and I'm going to open the card in landscape mode like so. This is a piece of Pacific Point cardstock, and it is cut to a standard mat size of 4 by 5 1/4, and that's going to get adhered here. But before we adhere that, we're going to run it through this hammered metal die. So I'm just going to lay it in. Anytime that you're die cutting, you want to try to get your paper in as straight as you can. And pull my plates off because I only need my number 1 plate, my embossing folder, and my specialty plate, which is number 4. Stampin' Up! Has made die cutting and embossing so easy because you don't have to sit and figure out your sandwiches. Everything is laid out perfectly for you, and it's just another wonderful thing that Stampin' Up! Does. So I'm going to put that plate there. I'm going to lay this back down and stack this back together. And let's peel that off, and I hope you can see that beautiful texture. There you go. Isn't that gorgeous? And this is going to go down on here, and using an embossing folder really helps give you some beautiful texture on your cards, and I love that. So I'm going to put this away because we're not going to need that anymore. So I'm going to lay that right there. What I did is I pulled off my pieces for this beautiful dove. There's a wing, and that cuts out all the way around, but then you also have this piece that will cut the solid wing, and then you have the bird's body, which is this piece right here, and then you have another little piece that is the tail. I want to show you how I put this together. I took some Whisper White Thick, and I cut out my bird, as you can see. And I did this ahead of time so that we wouldn't have to spend all that time die cutting. But I cut that using Whisper White. And then I did the same thing with this piece. Whisper White, cut it, cleaned all my little pieces out. So now we have a wing. But I wanted more detail on this, so I pulled in, with these 2 pieces, my silver foil, and I cut a piece of silver out of this. As you can see, this would be this one right there. And then I also did this one here, and I cut this piece out. And how stinking cute. But let me show you what the magic of when you put these together. And I love that with these dies. I'm going to lay my dies back over here. And let's go ahead and assemble. I'm going to zoom you in just a little bit so that you can see what I'm doing. This piece is going to go underneath this piece. And see how you're going to get that beautiful silver right here. Just like that. Isn't that gorgeous? And then we're going to take this piece, and this is going to get glued right up underneath here, just like that. So we're going to have the silver showing here on the tail feathers, and we're also going to have the silver showing right here on the wing. Is that not the most gorgeous thing? I love. And if you didn't want to do the silver, you could do blue, you could do a beautiful pink. And my little girl is whining, and I don't know why, because she's had treats, she's had her breakfast, she's been outside, and she still finds the need to whine. Like I told you, Bella is my whiner. I do apologize. No, go lay down. Go lay down. Be a good girl. Good girl. So anyway, we are going to attempt to put these together, and I am going to try using just some regular liquid glue, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this and hopefully keep it somewhat neat. We're hoping for that. I am going to bring out my silicone craft sheet, and this thing is the bomb when it comes to using your glue. It is a piece of silicone that is, it cleans off. I mean, you can put glue directly down on here like that, which this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a bit of glue there, and I'm just using the liquid glue, and I'm going to turn this piece over, and I've got a sponge, if I can find it. I have a sponge with one of these binder clips on it that I use just for my glue. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up some glue on here, and I'm going to dab that glue all over the back of this piece. Now you don't have to worry about that glue, you know, making a mess or anything. You don't want to make a mess on this. So when I put this down on here, I want to get it perfect first time so I don't have to do too much wiggling. And that way you keep the integrity of your foil without it becoming muddled looking. And I'm just going to use a stamp block to lay on top of that so it will adhere while I'm working on the next piece. And I'm going to do the same thing right here on the tail feathers. I'm just going to dab some glue, and I'm going up to about there, and then I'm going to bring this piece over, and I am going to line it up and just press it down just like that. And I'm going to stick that under there too, and just let it adhere. Just let it sit there and adhere. Now this right here, I'm going to go ahead and put my little dauber back in my, I keep it in a little container like that so I don't get glue on anything, because when it's wet you can get glue all over it. And I'm going to just sit that over for right now, and I'll clean that up after we finish the video. So the next thing that we're going to do while this is drying, let's move it over a little bit right here. I have pulled the stamp Get Well Soon from the Healing Hug stamp set, and that's this one here, Healing Hugs. And I love this Get Well Soon. That is so pretty. And I pulled out that out of the Hippo dies, what's it called? Hippo and Friends. I pulled this one out because these dies are lovely. Look at that. They have a lot of detail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp in Pacific Blue, because that's what we're working with. And I'm going to stamp it right here kind of in the middle, because I know that I want to put this down something like that. And I want to stamp kind of in the center of that. And you know what? I might just leave this here as my guide. Why not? So I am going to take my stamp to my ink pad, and let's move that pad over just a little bit, give myself some stamping room, and I'm going to stamp that as nice and straight as I can. Love it. So pretty. So pretty. And I think I'm just going to use my Simply Shammy to clean off this ink. I know that thing squeaks a little bit, but you know, this is just such a quick, easy way to clean your stamps. I love my Stampin' Scrub, and believe me, it cleans your stamps really good. But when you just need a quick cleanup, that little Simply Shammy is absolutely the bomb. Now I'm going to go ahead and close my ink pad, and I want to take this to my die machine. So let me move that over there, and I want to get this nice and even, just like so. And I'm going to grab my little flags, and I'm going to put one down here, and maybe one right here. Oh, and look, I got ink all over me. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to transfer that. So let me grab one of my alcohol wipes. Nothing special, just some regular wipes that I bought at Walmart, and I put some, I just put some rubbing alcohol inside, and look at that. This will clean your hands and the ink off of them just like that. I love them. Yes, they dry your hands out, but you don't get ink all over everything. And usually after I finish stamping, I'll go wash my hands and I'll lotion up, so it's not too bad. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and run this through my die machine and cut this out. And let's pull this over here. And let's pull our tags off. Oh yeah. I'm going to stick these back over here. Come lay down, Bella. Come lay down. Come lay down. Lay down. Good girl. Lay right there. If I can ever get her settled down, she's usually pretty good, but getting her settled down sometimes can be a bit of a pain. Oh, let me tell you something else about these dies. If you wanted to do a window like this, let me zoom y'all back out a little bit. If you wanted to do a window with these, look at that detail around the edge of that. So not only does it put that stitched detail on your piece you're cutting out, if you wanted to cut a window for a card, that die also puts that stitching there, thus the double stitch lines on it, which I think is wonderful. I enjoy those dies. I really, really do. Okay, let's see if our bird is dry, and I think it is. So let's move this out of our way, and let's go ahead and bring our pieces over. Now this piece is quite textured, so because it is, I'm not going to use the Stampin' Seal. I'm going to use some liquid glue on the back of this because I really want to make sure that this gets adhered down. And you've got all of these little nooks and crannies, so a lot of times liquid glue works better if you are putting down a piece of cardstock that's been run through a die machine. So that's just a good rule of thumb to know. I think I've gotten so used to using my press and seal that I'm having difficulty with the liquid glue. I never thought I would say that. Okay, we got some glue on here, but that should dry. And we're covering this part up because our little bird's going to be right about here. And his wing is going to be right about there. Maybe down just a hair. So once I can get him exactly where I want him, I'm going to glue his wing, and I'm going to use liquid glue for that as well. So I am going to put a good amount of liquid glue right there, and then I'm going to bring that wing, and you can angle that wing however you see fit. It's your bird, so you can make his wing high or low or however. But when I see a dove, I always think of the wing being up like that and they're in flight. Isn't that gorgeous? Now what I want to do, I want to put this down, and see I got glue on that again, but it's okay because this is going to work for us. We're going to be covering all that up. So I'm going to get some Stampin' Dimension. Not the mini ones. I want the big ones for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a good bit on here. I want one right here on his tail feathers, and maybe one right there. I'm going to put one here. You want to make sure you don't get them where they show, so just make sure it's back away from the edge so it doesn't show. I'm going to do one here and one right here. Now I want to put that bird about there, and I want my get well to be here. So let's grab, this is called the Snowflake Splenda. And I love this because it really does pick up the color. So this time I'm going to leave it on the roll, and I'm going to get my little piece to cross, and I'm going to decide exactly where I want that. Maybe I want it up this way. Yep, I think up that way, and then we're going to need about that much. So let's try it like this, and this time I'm going to use a Stampin' Dimensional. Okay, that's the way I want it, just like that. So I'm going to use a Stampin' Dimensional this time, and I'm just going to stick it right onto here. And then I'm going to put another one right here. I really want to make sure that that ribbon stays down where I want it. And you could also use some Press and Seal or Stampin' Seal. Press and Seal. That's our wrap. Okay, so I got that down like that. Oh yeah, that's exactly the way I wanted that. This looks very, very pretty. So we're going to use some more of the dimensionals because I also want this to be popped up a bit. So I'm just going to willy-nilly put a few on the back. And then I'm going to take your pick tool, and let's go ahead and take off these backers. This piece is wanting to lift, so I'm going to go underneath here and just lay down some Stampin' Seal. Now that ribbon will not move. I don't think it's going anywhere now. Okay. You know, you can sit in here and craft and not have any problems, and as soon as you turn your camera on, it's like, it knows. It knows if you make a boo-boo, everybody's going to know. But you know what? We all do, and it's no big deal. So I'm going to put that down about there. Now I can clip these tails off, but I want to decide where I want this to go first. And I think right about there. So now we can take these off, and I'm definitely going to wrangle them this time. That was a lot easier. That ribbon was really doing a number on me. So I am going to take this and put it down right about here. Isn't that a beautiful card? I love that. So now I am going to clip and clip. And that's exactly the way I wanted that. Isn't that gorgeous? So pretty. So now we've got the front of this card ready. Let's open it up and look at that. Is that not gorgeous? We're going to open this up and we're going to do some work on the inside. So I think to follow suit, I am going to use this little flower or little bow, and I'm going to cut it out of the silver. This is the piece I cut my other silver pieces from. And this does have some little pieces in it. So let me show you what I did with one of my paper pumpkin boxes. You know, when you buy the little brush that goes with this, you get 2 of these little foams. And if you put this inside of a box, and then you can do this when you do your dies, and I want to show you just how wonderful. And if you got one that doesn't want to come out, that's the good thing about this mat. You can hold it with your, take your pick tool, and look at that. Everything came out, and it's because of this. And like I said, this attachment unscrews from the take your pick. It is an added accessory. It doesn't come with it. But you get the roller and you get 2 of these foam pieces. And what's so nice about this is when my box gets full, I can take the box to the trash can and empty it, and it keeps all of those little pieces from going all over your craft room. So it cuts down on your vacuum time, which I think is always a good thing. So I am going to turn this card over, and I need to decide what I want to do on the inside. As far as, I know I want to put this in here, but I want to put a piece of blue because I want to follow through with those same colors. And this is the Pacific Point 8.5 by 11. And I've got this piece left over, so I'm going to cut this down to my mat size. I think that will work. And I'm going to lay my card over here. And, you know, I'm not too sure. I don't want this. Oh, that would look so pretty. Let's see. Do we want to put this? Right there. What do y'all think? It really does add to it. Okay, maybe I need to regroup. I know exactly what I'm going to do. That is going to go there. See, I told you I'm creating on the fly. So I never know when I sit down to do a card exactly how it's going to turn out. I just kind of go with it, and whatever comes up is where I go. So I'm going to cut this down to 5 1/4 by 4. And then I'm going to take a piece of Whisper White. And I'm not using the thick for this. You know what? I got some pieces up here. Let's see. This one we're going to need cut down to 3 3/4 by 5. And now this will mat on this. So pretty. Alright, so I am going to move my trimmer out of the way. And I think what I want to do is I'm going to put this over here, and I am going to go into that stamp set, Dove of Hope. And I think this little dove right here is so stinking cute. So we're going to get that dove, and I'm just going to stamp it in blue right here in the corner. And we're also going to need to grab the Healing Hugs. And I'm going to put Wishing You a Quick and Complete Recovery. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this stamp set out, or this stamp, and this is going to go right about there. And I want to stamp this this little dove. I think I want to stamp it in, let's go ahead and use the same stamp block. And I'm going to stamp this one as well in the Night of Navy. Maybe we'll put it up in the top corner. That would look different. Let's do that. Sometimes I like to mix it up. So let's ink up our little dove. And do I want to do second generation stamping? I think I do. So I'm going to ink and stamp off, and then I'm going to stamp right here. Oh, I love that. Isn't that pretty? Maybe I should close this up first. And now that I've got that completely, well, not completely stamped, I still got to do my sentiment. I am going to pull this block out, and I am going to load it up. And I want to do this right about here, maybe up just a little bit like that. That'll give us room to sign our card. And again, I'm just going to pull the same ink pad. I'm really kind of keeping it simple, so we're using one ink, actually 2 stamp sets, and 2 die sets. So, and I'm going to stamp this off as well. And stamp. I love that. That looks so festive and so beautiful, and I think anybody would love to receive a Get Well card like that. I think it turned out really pretty, and we are going to close this ink pad up again before I make a mess. And now we're going to adhere this to that, and I am going to use my pressing seal. Stampin' Seal, y'all. Stampin' Seal. I have gotten much better at using this. I think the second roll, the refill roll, worked better than my original. I know that kind of sounds crazy, but it really does seem like that this one works better than the one before. Maybe I'm crazy. Call me crazy. It's okay. Now that's down, and oh, that's so pretty. All it needs is a signature. I'm going to turn this over and do the same thing again. Put my Stampin' Seal here on the back. Oops, I went off the edge. That's okay. If you go off the edge when you're using Stampin' Seal, just like you would do in your tear and tape or any of your two-sided tape, just roll it back onto itself. Okay, and now we're going to put this on the inside, just like this, getting my margins as even as I can, and then we press. You know, we always need Get Well cards, and we always need birthday cards. That is a given. I'm going to bring that silicone mat back, and I'm going to get my little dauber, because I'm going to do the same thing with this that I did with my pieces on my dove. Let's see if we got, no, I think that glue's about done. So let me grab my, did I put, no, here it is. I'm just going to put another little bit right here. One thing about liquid glue, it does dry fast. That's the good thing about it does give you a little bit of wiggle room, and sometimes we need that wiggle room. I know when I first started doing paper craft, I wouldn't use a tape runner for nothing, because I felt like I had to have that wiggle room. And it's okay. It's okay to need wiggle room. But then once you get more I guess, adept at making your cards, then you find out you don't need it quite as much. But I have so embraced my Stampin' Seal, especially the Plus. I loved it because it doesn't string quite as bad as the other. Okay, we have completed our card, and I think it is lovely. What do y'all think? Isn't that gorgeous? I love following through, and I think what I'm going to do for my envelope, I believe I'm going to have to follow through with my envelope as well, and I think for it I am going to stamp a dove in the corner. That same dove would be so pretty in the corner of our envelope, so let's do that. How about this corner? So pretty. And that one I didn't stamp off, I just stamped it directly down. I'm going to get a little bit of that ink off of there before I take this to my Simply Shammy. I'm just going to leave these over here so I can get them taken care of in a little bit. Alright. The other thing that I want to do is I want to decorate my top. But I want to do it with this, with that embossing folder. So, let's see if we have a Pacific Point. Another little scrap of it would be wonderful, but I don't think I do. That's okay, we'll cut a piece. So I'm going to cut off about, let's see, ruler. I need a piece that is, let's go 2 1/8. Yeah, I don't like 8s either, but you know, sometimes they are necessary. I'm gonna lay the card up here. I'm gonna lay this over here, and let's get our trimmer out, and we'll do 2 1/8, and I'm just gonna do it off the side like this. And our 1/8 is the second mark. It's like 1/2 of a 4th. And that's all we need. So now I want to put this, let's see, we need to cut the length. And what I want to do is I'm just going to lay this down onto my piece. And I'm going to make myself a little mark. Right there. I'm giving a little bit of a hangover because we are going to we're going to trim this out. So I'm going to bring this to my machine again, and I am going to emboss this piece. I love decorating my envelopes. I think it raises the level of your card just a little bit, and I think it makes it a party before the party starts. So when you receive a card and you've got a beautiful envelope, it makes you really want to open the card. So look at that. We got that done, and that's going to coordinate with the inside of our card. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some liquid glue, and I just want to glue this down just like that. So what I'm going to do is put my liquid glue on my flap, and I'm just going to make sure I go all around the outside and across the top. You don't want too much because you don't want this to warp up on you, but you do want enough so that this will stick. So I'm going to come in I don't want to go over that fold line, so I'm going to leave myself just a little bit right there. I'm going to bring this over and press it really good right here. Now we're going to use our little paper snips, and we're going to trim this out. So simple, so easy, and yet it adds so much to our envelope. And come up. And just trim that off. Just follow the curvature of your envelope. Looks like I didn't get this over here quite nice and tight, so we're going to go back in. And trim that out. Now we have this beautiful piece on the back of our envelope. You know, I got a little bit of the tab showing here, so let's fix that too. And it's not a problem because all you have to do is just trim this off. Nice and beautiful. So pretty. Look at that. So now, not only do we have a pretty card, but we have a beautiful envelope to put it in. So all I've got left to do is address this and put it in the mail. So now let me know what you think of this beautiful Get Well card. We have a nice sentiment on the inside, and we have a beautiful card on the outside. So I hope you enjoyed the process of watching me make this card, and I hope that you would find inspiration to want to try something like this. Until we craft again, may God keep you and bless you, and may you be prosperous in everything you do. And as I always say in closing, let everything you do bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is so worthy. And until we craft again, I love you all very much. Bye-bye.